Hey, what's up, guys? I just like going over the dark side when it comes out. There's actually I'm actually behind a little bit here, but there's another great issue after the Alice Cooper, Bride of Frankenstein cover. You have a nice cover of a Hammer movie that I have not seen until recently. They always mention how underrated the film is, and it really is. Hands of the Ripper, man. If you have not seen this film, very recommended. Very grisly, but very great story, great characters, right? Very tragic film. Okay, great acting, great shots. It just, like I said, been very gruesome, man. The scene, oof, man. Very, very well done. Should be mentioned more, and like I said, now it's sort of getting the critical acclaim that it deserves. So, and always enjoy the magazine here. So, of course, Alan always give credit. So essentially, this guy, I would say he directs like the tone of this. So you get some PC things in here coming from other writers like Newman, who I keep mentioning. I'm not a Kim Newman fan, never was, but he keeps it. There's always some little cheeky jokes in there that are kind of good, and you always have the women, right? The beautiful women. Anyway, this was interesting. Remember the PSAs I always told you in the 80s growing up, and in the 70s, you had all these PSAs, and I always joke. The joke, the punchline is that obviously none of us kids really followed any of that, right? And so in England in the 70s, you had you had PSAs for the kids, but as you went on, they started to make really, I guess, almost like horror film like shorts. Like, wear your seatbelt, mate. Oh, don't go with that guy. Yeah, look at him. Would you go? Look at this dude. Anyway, so and then even don't play near electrical wires. The typical thing. The policeman is your friend. The cop is your friend. You know that. That old guy, right? But it's interesting going over this. Apparently, one of the most famous ones. And real quick, there was a film, Protect and Survive, right? The nuclear film. Now I know where the Discharge song, Protect and Survive, comes from. It's a riff on that, which is, Discharge, a lot of their songs are about nuclear war, right? But here, it's kind of funny, right? They mentioned the generational things, right? Those who had become adults in the 50s and 60s were more open to this government-driven advice as they had experienced the war, right? Always the war, right? See, it's all about getting off on the wrong foot. They lied to you back then, right? But maybe, at some point, maybe they did care about their citizens for a very brief window in time, right? What were they thinking in response from baffled millennials? Yeah, they're baffled, all right. I'll tell you, though. The thing is that I always say the PSAs, no one really listened. So in England, apparently, they were started to do like horror, like shorts. And the most famous one here is Donald Pleasance actually plays the character of Death, right? The spirit of dark and lonely water. Right? Wow. It's this chilling masterwork is barely a minute and a half long, right? But it made a huge impact about kids drowning, right? Right. Sensible children, I have no power over them. Right. I like that. I'll be back. See that? I like to see that. You could probably see these on YouTube. So, and you get all these. Like, man, some of these are like, damn, look at these, bro. The one footballer, right? He's playing on the tracks, mate, and he gets his legs cut off or his feet cut off. So you're not footballing no more. I guess you could use your head, right? And this one here, Apaches. All these kids die playing Indians in the farmlands. The rural areas are dangerous as well, not just the cities. Right? Your local farmer's field was as dangerous as any electricity substation. Anyway, yeah, it was interesting. It was fun, and of course we get to the end. Of course we have this here. The nostalgia for the long-gone public information film is an example of hauntology, right? Or nostalgia for a lost future. Right? That's that Mark Fisher stuff that I've mentioned before. Like I said, there's interesting merits to some of the style stuff. I actually listened to a talk he gave. I've read over it somewhat. Like I said, I'm coming from a very different sensibility, essentially nostalgia for a lost future. Well, the whole idea is that what are your expectations? The expectations that the future would be one of progress. Now, we all had that as kids, right? We all thought we'd be in space, right? The old joke, the flying cars, and I keep telling you, if you have flying cars, guess what? If people actually flew cars around, you wouldn't be safe anywhere. Right? Talk about safety, wanting to have safety. Right? But essentially, I have sort of mixed feelings on this. Nostalgia for a lost future. The future would have been great if just, and even me, I have my own if just, which is very different from, their if just, right? But even I know that eventually, no matter what you do, this all falls apart. Okay, the expectations, are they realistic? I see a lot of unhappiness really comes out of your expectations, unrealistic expectations. Okay, if you're informed by history, you know that this all goes up and down, right? Like a wave or a circle. But anyway, enough. The future has evaporated, swallowed up in an eternal present. That's the other concept of it, right? But it's caused by capitalist realism. That people don't. No one thinks that there's any alternative to capitalism, which is like, if we could just get past that, we could get to a better future. Past is return and progress is stalled. Now you always listen in your everyday life, right? We always make fun of the people. It's a frequent thing to make fun of the people that they just live in an eternal present, like they just live in the moment, right? But in some ways, whether it's instinctual or learned after many decades of life, there's sort of a truth in that. Right? You only have today. Right? Past is gone, right? And the future is wholly unknown. And if there's one thing the great whatever is behind the veil, your great plans and the plans of great men in the past, which we now can see pretty clearly, they all are taken apart. They all collapse into the sea. Anyway, this was interesting. I wanted to go over these because I thought they're fascinating. Short films, horror films with a different tact. Very useful to make stuff like this today. You can make independent PSAs warning people about the real dangers. Okay, promise. You're gonna be in a lot of trouble if you do that. So, because the progress has always led to greater freedoms, hasn't it?